With that down, guys, let's move on to our fourth and final main topic today. And our fourth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Nerdy Crocodile, who writes, I just read that Steven Spielberg has stepped down as director for Indiana Jones 5 to let a younger filmmaker have their spin on it. That younger filmmaker is rumored to take over the helm is James Mangold. This is a great choice and excites me, but I still don't know if this movie is going to happen. Did your percentage drop now from the other day talking about this, or go up with James being rumored to take over? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, shortly after the John Campea Show ended yesterday, news dropped everywhere that the troubled production of Indiana Jones 5, which has never gotten started, despite the fact it was supposed to come out in theaters in 2019, they still haven't even started on this thing, that Steven Spielberg himself would indeed not be directing the new movie. Steven Spielberg is not directing the new movie. Why? Well, this is what is being reported as to what's going on here. This is from Variety. Spielberg will remain on as a hands-on producer on Indy 5. According to a source close to the filmmaker, the decision to leave the director's chair was entirely Spielberg's. Well, of course it was. He's Steven Spielberg. You don't fire Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg fires you. All right, so of course it's his decision. No studio's going to step in and remove Steven Spielberg from the director's chair. Anyway, according to a source close to the filmmakers, the decision to leave the director's chair was entirely Spielberg's, in a desire to pass along Indy's whip to a new generation to bring their perspective to the story. So the line we're getting right now is the reason Steven Spielberg has stepped down was he has a desire to pass the torch to a younger generation of filmmaker to come along and tell Indiana Jones stories from their perspective. Okay, I have a phrase for that. Bullshit. This is bullshit. This is not true. This is not true at all, in the least. No way. You want to know why this isn't true? Here's why it isn't true. Because Steven Spielberg has had 5 years since they started talking about doing an Indiana Jones 5. Steven Spielberg has had 5 years to go, you know what? It's time for a younger generation to take over Indiana Jones. A new, younger filmmaker to come in there and put their stamp on Indiana Jones. That's what it's time to do. BS. He didn't just all of a sudden come to this epiphany. Steven Spielberg didn't go 4 years thinking, yeah, I can't wait to wrap up Indiana Jones and do the 5th and final installment of Harrison Ford, donning the hat and the whip, blah, blah. He doesn't do that for 4 years and then go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I think it's, and the other thing that's BS about this is it's not like Harrison Ford is 35 years old. You don't go, it's time to hang, like, listen, if this was James Bond, right? If this was James Bond and you had a director directing Bond for like 10 years and then you got a new James Bond coming in, maybe then the director goes, you know what? We got a new Bond coming in. It's time for a fresh perspective on James Bond. Let's hand this over to a new director to take this in a new direction because we've still got 50 years of James Bond to go. I could see that. This is definitely Harrison Ford's final film as Indiana Jones, if it even happens at all. If it even happens at all. This is Harrison Ford's final film doing it. Harrison Ford, who is approaching 80 years old, doing his final Indiana Jones film, is not the movie you go, it's time for a younger director to take over and put their spin on Indiana Jones. That's not what you do. Look, all I'm saying here is, there is clearly a reason Steven Spielberg decided not to direct this film. And that's fine. That's fine. It's unfortunate, but it's fine. I just don't for 1 second believe that the actual thinking in Steven Spielberg's genius cranium, I do not believe for 1 minute that the greatest filmmaker of all time is stepping down from this film because he feels it's time to pass the baton off to a new, younger generation with an 80-year-old Indiana Jones. And that he didn't think this way for 4 years, and all of a sudden, magically now, I just don't believe the story. That's all. I just don't believe that the line he's putting out is the actual truth. And you know what? That's fine. Because I don't want Steven Spielberg to come out and go, you know what? I'm just frustrated with the development hell this movie's been in. I don't want him to come out and say that. But that's probably closer to it. I don't want Steven Spielberg to come out and go, I've got other movies I'm more interested in directing than an Indiana Jones 5. I don't want him to say that. Even though that's probably closer to the truth, I don't want him to say that. So I'm perfectly fine that he's stepping away if he wants to. He's the greatest of all time. Let him do what he wants. I'm perfectly fine with him making this fake statement, but make no mistake about it, this is a fake statement. And it's cool, and it's fine, and I get it, and it's the professional thing to do. So I'm cool with it. I'm not angry at Steven Spielberg for lying, even though it is a lie, because I get it. You don't want to tarnish the image of Indy. You don't want to say you don't want to have anything to do with it, blah, blah. I get it. You don't want to say there are other films that are more interesting to you than Indiana Jones 5, even though that's probably closer to the truth. I get it. But there's no way I believe that. Now, that being said, there's another part of this story that I find really interesting. And that is, hot damn. If you can't have Indiana Jones 5 being directed by Steven Spielberg, and you got to replace him, holy hell, James Mangold is a pretty damn good choice. You're talking about the guy who directed maybe, let me bring this up here, Sylvester Stallone's maybe the best film he's done in the last, 25 years in Copland. If you guys haven't seen Copland, it's actually really good. And I think it's the best film he's done in a long, long time. You're talking about movies like, where did it go? 3:10 to Yuma, which if you guys have followed me for any period of time, you know I love this movie. This is a remarkable movie. One of my favorite Westerns in a lot of years. I thought he did a masterful job with 3:10 to Yuma. Also, we're talking about movies like Walk the Line. He directed Walk the Line. That got a lot of well-deserved Academy Award buzz, even won an Oscar. He directed that. Then, of course, not everything was 100% gold that he directed, but then you jump up. He did, by the way, I thought that Tom Cruise movie he did, Night and Day, I thought that was better than most people gave it credit for. I don't think it's one of Tom Cruise's best, but I thought that movie was better than a lot of people gave it credit for, okay? Then, of course, we get into some more of the modern films that he's done. Obviously, Logan and Ford v. Ferrari. Logan is one of, in my opinion, the top 3 comic book movies of all time. I thought it was the best movie of 2017. It was nominated for Best Screenplay at the Academy Awards. Should have been nominated for Best Picture. My opinion, should have won Best Picture. I thought it was the best film of the year in 2017. And then, of course, outside of that, he comes back and does Ford v. Ferrari, which did get nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Thank you very much. And even won, I believe, a couple of Academy Awards, which is well-deserved, well done. It's a fabulous movie. Look, if you're going to go out and get somebody to replace Steven Spielberg, James Mangold's, it's kind of like the Batman situation, right? I wanted Ben Affleck directing Batman, all right? I've never hid that. I've never shied away from saying it. I wanted Ben Affleck directing the Batman movie. And I lament and mourn every day as a film fan that we're not going to get to see Ben Affleck direct that Batman movie. Fine. But you know what? If it can't be him and you have to get somebody else, damn, Matt Reeves is a good choice. Matt Reeves is a good choice. I like the Matt Reeves choice. I really do. And if you can't get Steven Spielberg to do Indiana Jones 5 and you got to get somebody else, hell, James Mangold's a pretty damn good pick. That would be a damn good pick. Now, look, I still don't even know if this movie's actually going to happen. I still have some reservations in believing. I'm not saying it won't. Be clear. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying that, all other things being equal, I'm just kind of in a I'll believe it when I see it kind of mode, But then that brings up another question. Indiana Jones has been so embedded with the style of Steven Spielberg. Is it even really Indiana Jones without Steven Spielberg? I don't know. As great as James Mangold is, and you guys know I'm a big fan of James Mangold, and I'm fascinated by this news. I gotta wonder, is it even gonna? Because you look at the action and adventure of the Indiana Jones films, it is so Steven Spielberg. I mean, I remember watching a Ready Player One, which not enough people watched. I thought Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One was wonderful. And I remember watching that and thinking, man, the adventure of that movie made me feel like I was watching an Indiana Jones movie. It's that distinctive adventure DNA that Spielberg brings to a lot of his films when he chooses to do adventure. And I do got to wonder whether it'll even feel like an Indiana Jones film without him directing it. And yeah, so I don't know. So like to sum up, I don't believe this story that Spielberg's stepping away just because he feels like it's time for a new generation. I don't believe that at all. Not with an 80-year-old Indiana Jones, not when he's already had 4 years to decide it. This is him just deciding he's more interested in directing other films than Indiana Jones 5. That's what this really is. They'll never admit it, but that's what it really is. But if it can't be Steven Spielberg, James Mangold's a pretty damn good choice. Anyway, guys, question here for you is, what do you think about this? Number one, do you believe Spielberg's comments? I personally don't. I think he's just being professional, but maybe you do. Jump down into the comments section below and let me know what you feel about the potential of James Mangold directing Indiana Jones 5 instead of Steven Spielberg. All right, guys.